let me ask you a question. What didn't you like about it? Because I understand. I mean, when I had trepidation about this one because I read a couple of really bad notices about it. So I'm curious what you didn't like. Because I can understand. I think this movie is saved by one actor in the second half of the film.
Okay. Well,
Michael Rooker, I think, is the MVP of the whole movie. I mean, if his character wasn't
because he turns all soft and gooey.
Well, literally, yes. But I thought that was actually necessary because. But I'm just curious because the reaction to this movie is so across the board, mixed, love it, hate it.
Okay.
So I just want to hear what you have to say.
All right. First of all, there's no way that they can reproduce the original, the effect of the original, because the original is. I think the original was kind of snuck out. It didn't seem like it was, audience tested or anything. It was just kind of I don't know. It's kind of a mistake, really. It came out late.
It was a very happy movie.
Yeah. Well, it was it was. I mean, in the realm of these kind of movies, definitely. But this feels a little bit more tested, a little less natural. It felt like there's a lot of arguing in in the
so there's why I liked it. I think
there's a lot of yelling in it. It's sort of like All in the Family in space or something. But and I didn't think it was quite as funny as the first one. But basically, there's no way you can recreate that sort of surprise of pleasant surprise of the first movie. I will give you all that. I agree with you there. And I don't see how you could. I just don't. You're right. The movie does feel almost like a mistake from the production line. Yes, it is. And also, that's why it was a surprise, But also, this one feels very overstuffed. It's trying to do too much stuff. There's a in a battle scene, there's a billion things coming at us, There
are a billion things. You are right about that.
Throwing more onto it is a way to reproduce the feeling of surprise that you get from the first movie. So, but this one just wasn't quite as amusing. It was all right. But I thought that the story was very jumbled, and after a while, I was like, I don't care about any of this stuff, and it continues that sort of national obsession in these kind of movies of the sort of obsession of parentage and I mean, even Michael Rooker starts crying about how he had a horrible childhood and stuff. So in the movie, but everything's all about mommy and daddy, and
but I
mean, it gets so tiresome.
It goes back to the great stories of our time, though. The Godfather, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones. At the end of the day, you break them down. I'm just saying. Well,
Indiana Jones was not about mommy and daddy. Now, when it first started out.
No, when it first came out.
When the first Raiders comes out, it's not about mommy and daddy.
Right.
In fact, it takes them to the third one to get to that.
Right. I agree. I agree with what you're saying, but I think when we do get to the third one, we do realize that Spielberg and Lucas, especially, and Coppola to a degree, to a very strong degree, there is something with Daddy. Daddy is, how shall I say it, relations with our fathers. I mean, they're the basis of all great stories. But I understand what you're saying here. But what's interesting here is the father-son relationship, or actually the parenting relationship you are expecting the movie to be the strongest, turns out to be the weakest part of the story. I actually got to tell you, the really interesting thing is between the two sisters, Nebula and Gamora, and their relationship to their father, who is like the biggest bastard in the galaxy, Thanos. I actually thought that's a much more interesting. They touched on it, but that's actually the much more interesting. Because the thing that we're led to believe is going to be the big thing is almost a bust. I mean, you almost know. It feels like an episode of your favorite TV show you're growing up where the long-lost father shows up, and, well, he's actually a worse salesman than Anakin Skywalker, it turns out. So, but that's the thing, though, I do want to touch on. I do think that what I liked about the movie, but I actually liked the arguing and all that. I thought that was actually very good. I actually thought they kept the movie lively. But I do like how James Gunn really is a student of like early 1980s movies and late 70s, like, pop culture, sci-fi kind of thing. He really loves this stuff. I mean, he really understands it better than some of the people who really profess to really love it. And I hate to say it, I think he gets Star Wars more than Lucas or Abrams, for that matter. I think he understands those movies much better than the actual creators do. But this is definitely, it's not as good as the first one. It can't be. I don't know how you get that lightning to strike twice with this series. But I did enjoy it. I mean, it's still a fun movie. I would have cut out 15 minutes of it here and there. There are things you could definitely cut out, though.
Well, let me talk about some of the things I did like about it. I thought that I liked a lot of the art direction. I thought the art direction was really well done. The just the general design of things. The movie does look like it all takes place in front of. It was all filmed in front of a blue screen, or green screen. So, so it does have that sort of air of phoniness about most of its scenes. Like, it doesn't feel like they're in real sets most of the time. Like maybe 20% of the time they're on real sets. So there's a certain sense of phoniness there that got to me. But I did like, for me, the most amusing character in it was the Dave Bautista character. I thought he was, fairly amusing.
He took that to, he even took that further in this film, I thought, than the last one.
Yeah.
He said some things that we're not going to repeat here, but they're pretty funny.
Yeah, there was a lot of penis and scrotum jokes in the movie, so that's good for the families. You get to explain to your 9-year-old daughter what a scrotum is.
Well, they have to with our president, so I mean.
And I felt like. Let me just say this. My favorite scene in the film is one that it's towards the end of the movie when they're making the endless number of time jumps, and
yes.
I thought that was one of the most lively bits in the movie.
Right.
But I just thought it was very confusing and sort of jumbled up in a story way. Also, let's talk about Kurt Russell here for a second. And I don't think we're spoiling anything by saying that he's revealed to be Chris Pratt's father.
It says it in the trailer. I mean, it says it in the trailer.
Okay,
so
we're not spoiling anything. But I feel, with the casting of Kurt Russell, there's a certain amount of especially in a movie like this, there's a certain amount of expectation, at least on my part, that we're going to be trying to recreate kind of the Kurt Russell-y kind of energy of, say, Big Trouble in Little China or something like that. Unfortunately, he doesn't. There's only one scene that kind of even skirts close to it, which is a scene where he's talking to his son about the song "Brandy, You're a Fine Girl" by Looking Glass, which opens the movie. The first 70s cut that opens the movie. But and we actually get Kurt Russell, reciting the words to this, one-hit wonder kind of song, which I thought was amusing. But that was the only moment where I felt that they even came close to using Kurt Russell in the way that I would have expected them to. Instead, he's here mainly as kind of like an elder statesman, and he doesn't really get a lot of amusing stuff to do.
Right.
He's really just there as kind of the fucked up dad. I mean, it could have been played by Anthony Hopkins or somebody like that.
Could have been played by
really?
He could have been played by Patrick Swayze was still here. He could have been played by Patrick Swayze. I mean, for all that. I agree with you. There is something. It's like it's more Captain Ron than Big Trouble in Little China, Kurt Russell.
It's not the funny Kurt Russell.
No, it's not funny. It's not Kurt Russell. It almost is like, he actually turns out, when you first hear that he's going to be in the movie, you think, oh wow, that's going to be really awesome. He actually turns out to be one of the film's least interesting characters. It's almost like a plot device, really.
Yeah.
He's not even a character. I think that's a fair assessment. I think this film, there are a lot of, obviously Baby Groot is very cute, and that's very amusing. Bradley Cooper as the raccoon character is good. And there are things like that. This film tries to do something that another famous sequel did, and I don't think it does it quite as well. I think going back to the Star Wars analogy and comparing it to The Empire Strikes Back, the big thing about The Empire Strikes Back was everyone was split up. And they do that here also. They split up the main characters. It doesn't work quite as well here. And they also, tried that in the last the Star Trek Beyond, and someone brought up a good point that this is, my God, this plot is a lot like Star Trek Beyond, and there is some truth in that. But I think the movie's good. There's going to be a Volume 3. The other thing I like about these films, they're not, even though they have a lot of the same characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're really not that concerned with what's going on in the Avengers storyline.
Well, I like that.
I love that. I think that's the film's greatest strength.
That they're not larding it up with a whole bunch of other characters.
Because if you watch the post-credit scenes, there's really nothing to do with advancing the Avengers storyline whatsoever.
Which is a relief to me.
Oh, God, it is.
I mean, keep them separate, for God's sake, please.
Look, since Disney does not own all the things that are supposed to be in these movies anyways, I just wouldn't worry that much about it. No, I actually do. I agree with you, Dean. I think that's one of the film's greatest strengths is it's not concerned with advancing that. And I appreciate that actually more than ever.
Yes, that's a big relief. I mean, I didn't despise the movie, but I got impatient with it. I was like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this to be over.
That's a fair reaction to have. I think there were a lot of people, not a lot, but a sizable group of people that are like, wow, this doesn't have the same energy as the first one, and it feels like it's almost parts of it. Especially, I thought the final battle thing was like very reminiscent of the final battle sequence of the first film. He was trying to top that with the Sovereign and all the ships and everything. It reminded me of the first film a lot.